Well, folks, it's official. I am not the Nostradamus of video game auction predictions. On this episode of It's All Dug in Games, we're going to take a look back at this past weekend's Heritage Auctions Signature Video Game Auction. That was July 27 and 28, 2023, for those watching in the future. We'll take a look at some hits, a lot of misses, and an honorable mention right here. Whew, wow, that was an interesting video game auction for those of you in my audience who enjoy this sort of thing. A lot of amazing items went up for sale. I made a number of predictions in a video last week, so now it seems fair to go back and take a look at how I did. We're going to take a look at a few examples of I'll call relative hits. I'll define that as the item I predicted sold for exactly what I said it would, or up to 20% more. I'll define a miss as an item that did not sell for as much as I thought it would, or sold for more than 20% of what I thought it would. And there's also an interesting honorable mention at the end. So let's take a look at what I'll define as my hits from this past auction. First up, the Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a first printing copy. Of course, Sonic being, in my opinion, the titular character of the Sega universe. Definitely, perhaps one of the most watched items in the Sega world in terms of the high-end video game community. Well, I made the prediction that this copy of Sonic the Hedgehog would sell for $25,000. In fact, it sold for $28,800 after buyer's premium. I'm going to go ahead and call that a hit. Next up, we have the Super Mario Bros. 3 for the original Nintendo Entertainment System. This is, of course, the Left Bros version, which is an earlier release. That, of course, is a printing where the word bros on the front of the box is left-oriented instead of right-oriented in later prints. As you can imagine, with the wacky world of video game collecting, the orientation of bros means a lot of money to some of you folks. And in fact, I predicted this copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 would sell for $50,000. And in fact, it sold for 60,000 simoleons, exactly 20% over my prediction. And coincidentally, the criteria I set myself to call it a hit. Hey, look, I'm the creator, man. Leave me an angry message in the comments. And also, I'll call a hit the Stadium Events. So this is, of course, the loose cartridge-only copy of Stadium Events, perhaps one of the most difficult retail releases for the NES that you could possibly find. I predicted that Stadium Events would sell for $15,000, and in fact, it did go. The final hammer price was $18,600 with buyer's premium. I'm calling that a solid hit. Now that we got my successes out of the way, you know how these things go. Just like NASCAR, everyone watches for the crashes. And boy, did I crash hard on some of these predictions. So let's take a look. Starting with what I think the most shocking result of the auction all weekend long. It was actually the very first item of this two-day session. That's right, Atari Adventure for the Atari 2600. Iconic game. I've talked about it before on this channel. I believe it is foundational to the entire adventure video game genre. It was the most important, impactful game for me as a kid. I would love someday to own a sealed copy. I have a couple complete box copies, but I'm going to have to wait longer until I retire or hit the lottery. I predicted the adventure would fetch $3,000 at auction. Well, ladies and gents, it fetched $11,280 after buyer's premium in this auction. Oh boy, that will forever likely be a pipe dream for me. Next up, the Nintendo World Championships card. Now, this is the gray cartridge, of which it's believed there's roughly 200 or so copies floating around out there. Maybe a little more than that. I had predicted that this cartridge would get $75,000 at auction, and also keeping in mind, this wasn't the best example. It was graded 5.0, a little rough around the edges, but I was fairly confident in my assessment. I was wrong. The market may be a little weaker than I thought on this game. It fetched $63,000 after buyer's premium. So there you go. Did someone get a bargain? Did someone overpay? Let me know in the comments. I'm kind of curious to see what you think about the NWC market these days. And finally, another miss I had in a similar category to Adventure, where an example of a game I'd love to own someday, and perhaps my prediction may have been, guided by what I would hope the price for this game was. The original Fallout, the iconic post-apocalyptic adventure role-playing game. This is the original version of Fallout on the PC. I had predicted that this copy would sell for about $1,000. Sadly, I was wrong, because it sold for $3,840 after buyer's premium. So chalk up another one that I will lovingly stare at through the window shopping technique for the rest of my days, in all likelihood. But congratulations to the buyer on that one. Finally, I want to kind of look at an honorable mention that has some elements of hit, some elements to miss to it. There was a copy that I called out in my preview video, Pokemon Red, for the original Game Boy. And I had pointed out that this was the Latin American region release for the game. Now, the reality on the ground, and I'm not trying to be hurtful to anyone around the globe, is that in the high-end video game, sealed game, complete box game, graded game world, the most money is concentrated in the North American or NTSC releases of games. That's just how it is. You can't fight City Hall. And I figured that the Latin American release of Pokemon Red would be, relative to its NTSC counterpart, a steal if you just want a nice Pokemon Red to put up on the shelf. To that end, I was right. I had predicted the game was going to sell for about $300. The miss was on this particular title. It actually sold for $1,200 with buyer's premium, so way off on the number, but the principle was actually correct. In that same auction, an NTSC Pokemon Red sold for $18,600, so I'm going to call that a hit and a miss, in that conceptually I was right, but the prediction on that particular title was off by a factor of 4. Just a little bit outside. So there you go. It was indeed, to recap, an amazing auction. Lots of goodies there, whether you are fortunate enough to be able to be a buyer or you're just a looky-loo like myself. It's intriguing. It's a lot of fun. A walk down memory lane to see games that you don't usually get to see or know about or hear about in terms of their rarity, scarcity, intrigue. We are going to do another preview video coming up in the course of the next week for the upcoming Heritage Auctions Complete in Box signature auction. That's going to be really interesting. So take a look out for that. I'm sure I won't be able to help myself. I'll make more predictions, and we'll see if I continue to improve or if I'm just not very good at this. Either way, let me know in the comments below how you feel about these videos. If you like them, you don't like them, your suggestions, your thoughts. What did you have for breakfast this morning? You know the drill. Thanks for watching. It's all Doug in Games, and we'll see you next time.